Poetic Justice, 1993. Movie recap, where are they now? Poetic Justice is a timeless tale of love, loss, and self-discovery. Set against the backdrop of South Central Los Angeles, the film follows Justice, Janet Jackson, a grieving young woman, and Lucky, Tupac Shakur, a man struggling to find his place in the world. Together, they embark on a journey that changes their lives forever. But what became of the stars who brought these unforgettable characters to life? From Tupac Shakur, whose legacy continues to influence generations, to Janet Jackson, whose career skyrocketed beyond the screen. Where are they now? And what happened to the talented actors who made this film an iconic piece of cinema? In this recap, we'll revisit the lives of the cast members, the unforgettable moments, and the ones we tragically lost along the way. Tupac Shakur, Regina King, and others. What are they doing now? And how have they shaped the culture we live in today? Stay tuned, because this journey into the past will show you how these stars, through their art and legacies, continue to inspire. Janet Jackson portrayed Justice, a 26-year-old woman in Poetic Justice who silently bore her pain. Life had been harsh to her, having witnessed her boyfriend's death due to gun violence, which made her wary of love. She chose to isolate herself, expressing her feelings through poetry, which became her means of survival. Her poems were filled with her sorrow, aspirations, and unspoken thoughts, helping her cope in a world that had already taken so much from her. Then she met Lucky, played by Tupac, who was charming and persistent. Initially, she was put off by his cockiness and attitude, but as they traveled together, her perspective changed. He genuinely listened and shared his love for his daughter and his ambitions for the future. Gradually, Justice began to open her heart again. Janet Jackson was not new to acting when she took on this role. She had previously won acclaim as Penny on Good Times and showcased her versatility in Nutty Professor 2 and Why Did I Get Married? However, Poetic Justice was unique for her, as she embodied the character of Justice rather than just stepping into a film as a singer. Now at 58, Janet remains an icon, but for fans of Poetic Justice, she will always be remembered as the woman with braids, powerful words, and the quiet resilience of justice. In Poetic Justice, Regina King, at just 22 years old, portrayed Leisha, a friend who was unapologetically honest. She was vibrant, humorous, and always had a drink in hand, making her the life of the road trip. Aisha, her character, was never shy about speaking her mind, often poking fun at others, especially her boyfriend, Chicago. However, their relationship was chaotic, filled with constant bickering and playful insults. When their issues reached a breaking point, Aisha didn't hold back. She made it clear she wouldn't tolerate disrespect from any man. Despite her wild persona, Aisha was more than just comic relief. She had a knack for bringing laughter, even in tough times, and could brighten up dull moments. She wasn't aiming for perfection. She simply wanted to enjoy life on her own terms. At that time, Regina King was already recognized for her role as Brenda in 227, but Poetic Justice showcased a different aspect of her talent. This time, she was unpredictable, messy, and unforgettable. Now at 54, Regina has established herself as one of Hollywood's most esteemed actresses and directors, boasting an Oscar and several Emmys. For those who grew up watching Poetic Justice, she will always be remembered as Aisha, the loud, real friend who always had something to say. Torry portrayed Chicago, a character in the 1993 film Poetic Justice, who was a 27-year-old man convinced he was the coolest guy around, but actually annoyed everyone. He was loud, arrogant, and constantly talking, believing he was the best. Chicago had an obsession with his appearance, particularly his hair, and spent more time checking his waves than anything else. He loved to tease others, especially his girlfriend, Leisha, with whom he shared a joking relationship that had a tense undercurrent. However, when she stood up to him, his fragile ego couldn't handle it, revealing his true nature. Instead of being the charming guy he pretended to be, he showed he couldn't cope with being challenged. This pivotal moment changed everything. Up until then, he was merely irritating. But when he became physically aggressive with Lesha, he crossed a serious line. Joe Torry's portrayal of Chicago resonated because such men exist, those who act tough but fall apart when their bravado is questioned. Now 59, Torry has enjoyed a lengthy career in comedy and acting, featuring in films like Back in Business and Sprung, as well as TV shows like Girlfriends. However, for fans of Poetic Justice, he will always be remembered as Chicago, the guy who talked too much, obsessed over his hair, and thought he was invincible until he wasn't. Tupac Shakur portrayed Lucky, a character in Poetic Justice, who was more than just the protagonist. He was the film's emotional core. Unlike exaggerated characters, Lucky was relatable, a young father striving to provide for his family as a mail carrier while navigating turmoil at home. He adored his daughter, but her mother, his wife, struggled with addiction, which deeply affected him. His feelings were not just anger, but also frustration and helplessness, as he wished for a better life for his child. However, he faced the challenge of protecting her from a mother who wouldn't help herself. Initially, he and Justice had a rocky relationship. She saw him as just another loudmouth, while he thought she was too guarded. As their road trip progressed, they began to open up, revealing the warmth beneath his tough exterior. He was humorous, protective, and caring, especially when he intervened to defend Lesha from Chicago. However, upon returning home, he was hit with the harsh reality of his cousin's death, shattering the brief peace he had experienced. Tupac infused Lucky with depth, making him feel like someone familiar. Even years later, Lucky remains one of Tupac's most cherished roles. Although Tupac was tragically killed in 1996, his legacy endures through his music and performances like this, where he conveyed authenticity, pain, and emotion. Shannon Johnson portrayed Keisha, a pivotal character in the 1993 film Poetic Justice, who brought light into Lucky's life during his turbulent times. Amidst his job struggles, relationship issues, and lack of direction, Keisha was the one constant that made everything worthwhile. Despite his frustrations and exhaustion, she remained a source of motivation for him. Lucky faced significant challenges, particularly with his wife's addiction, which created burdens that many couldn't comprehend. However, his love for Keisha never faltered. He wanted a better life for her. Although he couldn't provide her with perfection, he offered her something equally valuable: his presence, care, and effort. She was his driving force to keep moving forward, even when life became overwhelming. Shannon was just a young child when she took on the role of Keisha, and after Poetic Justice, she stepped away from acting. Yet, years later, she is still fondly remembered. Her role, though small, was impactful, symbolizing the innocence and hope that inspired Lucky. Now at 38, Shannon may have left Hollywood behind, but for fans of Poetic Justice, she will always be remembered as Keisha, the little girl who taught us that love is always worth cherishing, no matter how chaotic life may become. Jennifer Lewis portrayed Annie in the 1993 film Poetic Justice, a character that embodies the ideal mother for any son facing challenges. At 36 years old, Lewis depicted Annie as a loving yet firm figure who was straightforward but always present when it counted. She recognized her son Lucky's struggles as he balanced work and parenting in difficult circumstances. When Lucky's home became unsafe due to addiction, Annie readily welcomed him and his daughter, providing them with a safe haven. While she didn't coddle him, she was honest about life's challenges, ensuring Lucky understood the importance of hard work. Simultaneously, she offered him the support that many young Black men often lack in similar narratives. Through her portrayal, Lewis showcased Annie's ability to provide tough love and warmth, making her character feel authentic. Although her role was not extensive, it was significant, as she represented a mother who may not have all the solutions, but strives to keep her family united. Now at 68, Jennifer Lewis has had a remarkable career, recognized for her impactful performances in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and numerous films. However, she will always be remembered for her role as Annie, the mother who was there when it truly mattered. Q-Tip, whose real name is Kamal, portrayed Markell in the 1993 film Poetic Justice at the age of 23. Although he had limited screen time, his character significantly influenced the film's narrative. Markell was Justice's boyfriend, embodying a relaxed and easygoing demeanor as they enjoyed a day at a drive-in together. However, everything took a tragic turn when he was suddenly shot in the head right in front of Justice. A shocking act of violence that left a lasting impact on her. His death not only brought tragedy, but also caused Justice to become more guarded, retreating into herself and expressing her pain through poetry and solitude. Despite his brief appearance, Q-Tip made Markell feel authentic. He was not just a character destined to die, but was charming, playful, and loving towards Justice. Their bond was evident, and his loss intensified her heartbreak. Now 54, Q-Tip is primarily recognized as the lead of A Tribe Called Quest, but he has also had notable acting roles in films like Prison Song and Brown Sugar. Nevertheless, for many fans, his poignant performance in Poetic Justice remains memorable, highlighting the swift changes life can bring and the profound effects of grief on those left behind. Lloyd Avery II had a memorable presence that left a lasting impression. He didn't merely portray a tough character, he embodied the role. In the 1993 film Poetic Justice, he played the gunman responsible for Markell's death at a drive-in, a moment that significantly impacted the narrative of Justice. This scene felt strikingly authentic because just 2 years prior, he had been the one who shot Ricky in Boys in the Hood, a scene considered one of the most heartbreaking in cinematic history. Director John Singleton recognized Avery's unique quality. He possessed a quiet intensity and a look that conveyed danger without needing many words. However, off-screen, his life was more complex. Navigating Hollywood proved challenging, and despite his talent, Avery found it difficult to secure roles beyond those that made him notorious. His life took a tragic turn in 2001 when he was convicted of double homicide. 4 years later, in 2005, he was found dead in his prison cell at the age of 36, a heartbreaking conclusion that mirrored the characters he once played. Yet, Avery was more than just the villains he portrayed. He had potential and a narrative that could have unfolded differently. For those who remember him, he was not merely a character on screen, but a real individual whose life, talent, and struggles serve as a reminder of how quickly everything can change. In Boys in the Hood, Lloyd, played by Daedric Gobert, was a recognizable figure. In Poetic Justice, he encounters Lucky on the street, and for a brief moment, it appears they are just two friends reconnecting. However, it soon becomes clear that Lloyd has darker intentions. Their brief exchange reveals Lloyd flashing a gun, indicating he is searching for trouble and revenge after the death of their mutual friend, Doughboy. Special K. McRae was 33 when he portrayed Pete, infusing the character with a relaxed and easygoing vibe. Although his screen time was brief, it left a lasting impression, as who doesn't appreciate a character that unites others through food? In addition to his role in Poetic Justice, McRae appeared in Rush, 1991, and China Moon, 1994, participating in a variety of projects across different styles and genres. Now at 64, he has stepped back from the public eye, but for fans of Poetic Justice, he will always be remembered as Cousin Pete, the person who showed us that sometimes all it takes to connect people is a plate of barbecue and a touch of hospitality. Aunt June, portrayed by the iconic Maya Angelou, embodies the wise and straightforward elder often found at family gatherings. In Poetic Justice, when Lucky and his friends show up at the barbecue, she is there, keenly observing and understanding the dynamics of the situation like only an experienced woman can. She isn't hesitant to express her thoughts, as seen when she directly asks Leisha in Chicago if they are married. Her approach isn't judgmental. She simply keeps it real, as elders do when they have enough life experience to anticipate what's ahead. Maya Angelou infused Aunt June with a remarkable presence, even in her limited scenes. She wasn't merely acting. She represented that aunt who has navigated life's challenges and isn't afraid to share her insights. Moreover, her influence on the film extended beyond her performance. She penned the poems recited by Justice, which provided the movie with its emotional core. By the time Poetic Justice was released in 1993, Angelou had already established herself as a legend, dedicating her life to using her words to inspire and uplift others, leaving a legacy that transcended the film industry. At 65, when she took on the role of Aunt June, she continued to impact lives until her death in 2014 at the age of 86. Even in a minor role, she made a significant impression, reflecting the essence of who Maya Angelou was: a storyteller, a truth-teller, and a voice that will endure. Tyra Farrell portrayed Jessie, the kind of boss everyone dreams of having. She owned the beauty salon where Justice worked and served as a mentor who truly cared. Jessie recognized the pain Justice was experiencing after losing Markel and, in her own way, tried to help her navigate through it. She wasn't pushy. She was genuine. Jessie encouraged Justice to be kinder to herself, to release some of her burdens, and most importantly, to learn to trust her heart again. In a film filled with sorrow, heartbreak, and healing, Jessie provided a steady presence. Having experienced life's challenges herself, she understood that pain doesn't have to define a person forever. At 31, Tyra Farrell stepped into the role of Jessie, bringing the same strength and warmth she had previously displayed as Ricky's mother in Boys in the Hood. Whether portraying a grieving mother or a supportive boss, she made every character feel relatable, like someone you knew. Beyond Poetic Justice, Tyra's career has been marked by memorable performances, including roles in White Men Can't Jump and Equinox, showcasing her versatility across various genres. She has also made a significant impact on television, including a role in the popular series Empire. Now, at 63, Tyra Farrell has established a legacy of powerful performances, and her role in Poetic Justice is no exception. Although Jessie may not have had extensive screen time, her influence was significant. She was more than just Justice's boss. She symbolized the idea that healing takes time, especially with the right support. And that's a wrap on our Poetic Justice journey. From the unforgettable performances of Tupac Shakur, Janet Jackson, and the rest of the iconic cast, to the lasting impact this film has had on pop culture, it's clear that Poetic Justice is more than just a movie. It's a piece of history. As we remember those we've lost and celebrate the legacies of those still with us, we honor how this film continues to resonate with us today. What did Poetic Justice mean to you? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite films, star journeys, and timeless stories. Until next time, keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep rewinding the classics. This is Famous Smithy, signing off.